SBR Videos is sponsored by Sports Cash System. Click on the link below for more information. Doing week 2 in the NFL here at SBRForum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak, and we are heading right into week 2, covering the Thursday night game, the Jets at the Patriots, and we're going to do it with Joe Duffy from Offshore Insiders. We're going to cover every Thursday game with Joe Duffy. Why? Because he's a consummate professional, experienced guy, always does his homework, and, week 1, that's where, the proof is in the pudding, though. How did he do week 1? 3-1. 3-1, Joe Duffy. Thanks so much for joining us again this week.
Well, thank you, Peter. And actually going back to week 3 of the preseason, as far as my premium picks are 11-1 in the NFL going back to week 3 of the preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that 3-1, those weren't like the 4 best picks that you took from the Sunday card and came to me with them. Those were the 4 games I assigned you. I said, Joe, give us a lean, give us some kind of an edge. 3-1, the 3 wins were covered by a mile, and the 1 loss was Atlanta. They almost got that one, including one of the wins was the Thursday over that covered by a mile. We both liked that one. So, Joe Duffy, really appreciate it. Obviously, you're off to a great start once again. And before we get into this game, plug offshoreinsiders.com for a second.
And we did promise at the beginning of the year that it was going to be one of our best betting years ever. As we said, we tightened up our metrics, and the proof is in the pudding. As I said, 11-1 with premium picks in the NFL. Not too shabby at offshoreinsiders.com.
All right, Jets at New England. Now, this is kind of a tough one. Now, I would like you to give a lean or whatever in every game that we cover, but if you want to take a complete pass on this one, that would be understandable because you have one of these lines, right? Pats at home, -12.5, -13. Obviously, they did not look like a team that should be, a dominant favorite week in and week out. Last week, the Jets, look like they still have some problems, but Geno Smith maybe impressed a little bit more than people thought, when the game was on the line at the end. He did come through, but then again, the Jets here, they are on a short week going on the road. They have to prepare for New England. That's always tough. The last time this happened, they got blown out by 30 points. And also, maybe I'm worried about like sort of a sophomore letdown by Smith here. At this line, I guess I'd have to go with the Jets plus 13. What do you think?
No, again, the great minds think alike. I think I had a lot of similar thoughts going into this week's game. My initial reaction when I saw the lines come out was to lean strongly towards the under, and that's because the Jets obviously have a heck of a defense. Their offense is pretty mediocre. They weren't able to establish a running game at all. I think they had like 22 carries for 43 yards in the first game. And with Tom Brady, he hasn't really developed any type of rapport with his rookies. As we know, big overhaul in the offseason as far as his wide receivers are concerned, and he's stuck with his the proven veterans, not necessarily proven veterans that have been with him, but proven veterans who have been around the league. And now Danny Amendola, before we make a 100% final decision on this and place a bet, I'm going to see what his injury status is as we get a little bit closer to game time. So Brady's options are much more limited this year than previous years, and especially since he's taking some time to adjust to his wide receiving core. But the one thing that made me hold back a little bit and saying it's not quite an obvious under is my golden rule. Again, totals are much more about the pace of the game than it is the offensive or defensive competence. And the most amazing statistic involving either one of these two teams was the Patriots. I believe it was 93 offensive snaps they had yesterday. That is a ton of snaps. And all of a sudden that total, which is about 45.5, I think that when I checked it a couple hours ago, all of a sudden 90-something snaps, that means that it's almost impossible not to go over 50. But all in all, still because of the reasons I stated, I would lean towards the under.
Yeah, Geno Smith, what's your take on his first game? Not that bad, actually.
No, he played pretty well. He had very efficient statistics, but another one of my golden rules is never underestimate the mental aspect of the game. The short week, not surprisingly, I did some research, and it does very much benefit the home team. It's nothing overwhelming, but I ran a bunch of stats, and perhaps the most statistically impressive, again, not jaw-dropping, but home teams on a short week, neither team is off of a bye. If the home team is coming off a road game and the road team is coming off a home game, it is 38-26. But Geno Smith, you got to think, if he's a normal guy, makes his NFL debut, then has to come back on a short week against a coach that many consider to be the greatest defensive mind ever. I've got to think that mentally it is tough after making your NFL debut to come back on the short week. So if any player, it's going to be tough for him. Plus, not to mention, Tom Brady threw all those passes. his arm, is he going to be able to have a normal game for Tom Brady on the short week? So I think both quarterbacks will be affected by the short week, but Geno Smith is much mentally. What a very tough turnaround for him.
All right. Can I get an official lean from you on this one, or would you like to take a pass?
Yeah. No, I'm going to say the Patriots laying the number.
All right. Well, it's 12.5 or 13 market wide. So if you shop around, you can get 12.5. We'll give you 12.5 on this one. Is that your official pick, Joe Duffy?
You got it. Yes,
All right.
sir.
Thanks
Minus
so much.
12.5, the New England Patriots.
All right. Joe Duffy likes New England minus 12.5. Thanks so much. Talk to you again very soon.